Okay, everything is set up.
Okay, so I'll just give you a countdown then.
Oh, I haven't got you live yet.
Okay.
Now you're live, so now just
give you a countdown.
Yep, you are live.
Alright, hello everybody. This is Korzic, going to be doing a run of II Chronicles Plus, glitched any percent. This is essentially going to be a New Game Plus run, and New Game Plus, it doesn't really mean much of anything. It just shows a couple extra cutscenes, but I need to do this in order to have Time Attack unlocked, and I need that unlocked to perform a certain glitch I'll be performing about halfway through the run. Anyways, let's get right into it. And this is on the easy difficulty as well. So, New Game Plus, you see this cutscene, but if you play this game for the first time, you don't see it. It's kind of spoilery, so unfortunately it is going to waste a little bit of time, but I do have to sit through this just to pull off the glitch that I'm going to do later on. And I'll talk more about the glitch when I come to it, but essentially... Did I forget the timer? I'm sorry. Should I restart? Go ahead and start now, it's fine. My bad. So, yeah, I'm going to be doing a certain glitch later in the run to get to all items prematurely, and that's going to break the game quite a bit, but, well, I can do that glitch pretty much anytime I want to. I cannot do it too early, otherwise it makes the game unwinnable, so unfortunately what that means is that I will have to play the game normally up until I can enter the final dungeon, meaning Solomon Shrine. So for now, all I have to do is just play speedily. Our first objective is to rescue the town doctor trapped inside the mine, and the clinic here is giving us some cash to help with that. And we are going to use that cash to buy a wing. Has the same function as it did in East 1, warps you to whatever town you visited. And I am also going to use the money to buy a short sword. Now the short sword you can get for free from a certain NPC, but it is very slightly slower to get it for free, so I'm going to buy it instead. And the reason it's slower is because we will need to be grinding shortly, and obviously it's better to have a weapon equipped for that. So, speaking of grinding, it works a little bit differently than it did in East 1. In East 1, you kill the enemies, and no matter what level you are, they will always give you the same amount of EXP each and every time. But for East 2, the more you level up, the less experience enemies will give you, so for this first area here, I'm going to want to be level 6 to get a certain treasure chest. However, these enemies I can only reasonably get to level 4 off of, so I'll need to switch grinding spots in a minute here. Another difference from East 1 is on easy difficulty, it is impossible for you to take damage from attacking an enemy at a bad angle. Normally, if you attack them straight on, they do damage to you, but for whatever reason, that doesn't apply to easy difficulty. And that only applies to East 2, by the way. It doesn't apply to East 1. So I mentioned that because there is a certain glitch you can do to walk through the enemies guarding the chest we need. However, that glitch is ironically a bit more difficult to pull off on easy difficulty because of that. not being able to attack enemies head on. So pretty much the only way you can take damage on easy is if the enemies move into you or if they have a projectile attack. And I'm not going to show it because it's too difficult, but the way that glitch works is because if you manage to die and level up at the same time, Adol has no hit detection and can just walk right on through. So I'm at level 4 now. I need to hit level 6, so that's why I popped down here for a bit in the sanctuary. Something else to note is that if you're under leveled, you can normally do chip damage to enemies. Like, you can almost always do 1 damage to the enemies, but for the enemies I need to kill guarding the treasure chest, they take 0 damage under leveled, so yeah, it's unfortunate, but not much you can do. And it also means that coming down here straight away and getting the first few levels is slower, just because we would be doing tiny amounts of damage then. Anyways, we're level 6, let's get the chest. So what the Rod of Divinity allows is for you to be able to use magic. However, I don't actually have any spells yet. But not to worry, I'll be fixing that problem shortly. For now, we just need to explore the mine and do a few things down there. The primary objective in the mine is to rescue the doctor. However, we do also need to return the books of Ys that were collected in Ys 1 to various priest statues scattered around down here. And we need to do this in order to enter the next area of the game. So yeah, these tombs, or whatever they're called, need to find all of these down here. So, in order to rescue the doctor, we need this Smetak here, and this is the only usable one throughout the whole entire mine. There are a lot of broken ones scattered about, but this is the only one that you can actually pick up for some reason. So, when rescuing the doctor, there's a glitch I just did there. When you approach the rubble, normally the doctor is supposed to give some dialogue that, please help me find the Smetak, break down this wall. But for whatever reason, if you approach that rubble from a diagonal angle, you don't get that text. I don't know why it works, but hey, saves a few seconds, why not? Fire Magic, our first spell. On higher difficulties especially, this is a great alternative to melee attacks. Not only that, we do need this to be able to beat most of the bosses in this game. That said, the strength of your fireballs is directly related to your strength stat, so unfortunately you can not neglect grinding, keeping up with your weapons and that sort of thing. So in a couple minutes we'll be coming up to the first boss, but before that I will need to grind to level 12. Lower than that you can't do very much damage to him. so we need to hit level 12. We could do it at level 11, but it's a fairly long fight then, and being at level 12 halves that time. And not only that, I want a certain amount of gold by the time I finish with the mine here, which will allow me to purchase the 3rd level sword, the Tower, and that's going to help a lot for the upcoming areas. So this enemy here should be the fastest to grind on. Let's repeatedly refresh the screen, and there's level 12. So the first boss is pretty simple. You just shoot him when his arms open up. For some reason, people seem to think this boss is random, but he isn't. I kind of messed it up there, but as long as you do the same actions each time, he will also do the same thing each time, so it's pretty simple to manipulate him to open up his arms in a timely manner, but yeah, for whatever reason, a lot of people think he's random, but he's not. The iron ore I'm getting to sell to be able to purchase the tower. And that is in a hidden room that you're not supposed to know about until you have the light magic, but if you know about the rooms ahead of time, the game will go ahead and let you enter them prematurely, which is nice. Evil Bell I'll be needing pretty shortly. Okay, just need to grab the light magic and we're out of here. Alright. So, speaking of the light magic, you won't ever actually see me use that this run. Normally, you need it only to pick up a certain item in Solomon Shrine, and that's really the only time it's absolutely necessary to use. However, the game does require you to have it in your inventory before... Oops, not the longsword. The game does require you to have it in your inventory before letting you go to the next area, so even though you won't see me use it, that's why I have to pick it up. We also need to cure Lilia, the girl that found us at the beginning of the game, and we need to do this in order to get the return magic, and that's, you will see me using that a bit in this run, and even if I wasn't using that, it still is necessary to progressing to the next area, so the return magic is basically a reusable wing at the cost of 20 MP. So we're almost ready to go to the next area, but we have yet to find all the priest statues. We still have one more book to return. And where should that priest statue be but underneath some guy's basement in the village here? Sounds weird. It is. But those ruins/mines that we explored earlier, they apparently extend all the way underneath Lance Village. And this guy's house that we're going to, he's been hearing weird noises coming from his basement, and turns out to be demons living underneath there. So, naturally, he wants us to clear them out for him. We do need to explore the basement, however, we don't actually need to clear out the demons if we don't want to, but I'm going to do that anyways. And the reason I'm clearing out the basement is because it's going to get us about 800 experience, which is pretty darn good for this point in the game. It does take about a minute or so to clear the enemies down here, and because there's so many, it can be a little bit dangerous because I've yet to purchase any armor. But even though this takes a minute or so, it is still faster because for some reason, when you are underleveled even just a tiny bit, your attacks don't land as fast on the enemies, even if you have them pinned right up against the wall, so doing this does actually save time. Gotta save my game because I'm nearly dead here. Should have just one more kill. Okay, first screen down. Alright, the area's clear, and I did a small glitch there on the second screen. When you clear the screen of enemies, normally there's a text box that pops up saying that the area's clear. If you can kill the last enemy in such a manner so that you move to the next screen as the text box pops up, you can avoid having to clear it, which saves a second or so that's pretty handy. Anyways, we now have all we need to proceed to the next area, the Ice Ridge, so let's head there now. There's not a whole lot to say about the Ice Ridge. It's pretty straightforward. That said, it is possible to save a teeny amount of time here if you're smart about how you shoot your fireballs, because there are a few enemies off the beaten path, but if you know where they are ahead of time, you can shoot fireballs to kill them without deviating from the path very much. And that enemy was a total troll there. Okay, the Blizzard Bulb, we need this to get through the upcoming cave. So fortunately we won't have to stop and grind in this area, but I still do want to kill all the enemies in my immediate path here. The charm, you must mean the character pin at the bottom of my screen. That is something you can do. There are certain items you can pick up in the game. You can gift them to certain characters, and when you reach the maximum amount of affection, because the more gifts they give you, the more they'll love you, you get their little character mascot to hang as a decoration. And the one I have on screen is the nurse in the beginning village. There are some special ones you can get for doing certain actions, but most of the time you just give someone a certain amount of gifts and get their mascot that way. That's what they're called, mascots. Picking up the Marl Flower here, because by the end of this area I'll be somewhat low on MP. Not too low, but I'll be low enough to where my shots won't charge as fast, and that's going to waste some time if I don't pick it up. So that's the reason for picking it up. The stone shoes let us climb the icy slopes in the area, and the one we need to climb is on the very first screen of the Ice Ridge, but as it turns out, it is faster to warp back to Lance Village and walk back to the beginning that way rather than just manually backtrack. So coming up here, you will see the effectiveness of the Hawk Idol, which I picked up earlier. What this does is it homes your fireballs to the nearest enemy, and this is pretty effective for killing enemies without deviating from the path too much. So a lot of these shots may look to be unnecessary, but what they should be doing is hitting enemies off of the beaten path and getting me extra EXP without deviating. So it's very helpful. The Hawk Idol I also picked up because it's going to help with the upcoming 2 bosses. Not necessarily the one in this area, but the one in the next area it will. Yep, so all these shots are indeed done with a purpose. Okay, almost time for the boss. He's pretty simple, but I'm going to go ahead and save my game just in case. Shouldn't die to him, but you never know. The only way this boss can really hurt you is if he jumps on top of you. Those icicle waves are pretty easy to dodge, but if they do catch you, they hurt quite a bit because there aren't really iframes in this game, and so they can just pin you against the wall really easily and just do a ton of damage that way. But overall, very easy boss. In the mode of Burn Blessed here, we're going to head straight to the Ruse Nest. This isn't something you're supposed to know about right away, but if you do know about it beforehand, you can just head straight there. Right now, we're just going to pick it up as a warp point. There is something we want in there, but right now we need to be somewhere else. So the moat of Burn Blessed here is a pretty dangerous area because, as you may or may not have noticed, I haven't picked up any armor this run, and not doing that is when the game starts to get really dangerous, this area here. Fortunately, because this is easy difficulty, the only way enemies can damage me is if they move into me or shoot projectiles, but these scorpion enemies in particular, they don't like to stay still, so it can be hard to get them pinned against a wall. So I have had quite a few runs die in this area because of them. That was weird. Those shelled enemies I'm not going to bother with. They take too long to kill. I am underleveled, so I only do 1 damage apiece to them. While I could kill them, it's simply not worth it at this point in time. Okay, in the Colony of Lava, we need to talk to this NPC, and we need to talk to him first as this furry critter, a Rue, and then as a human. There is a small glitch you can do, which I unfortunately didn't get, but since you need to talk to him as a Roo, then as a human, if you first approach him as a Roo, and then at the very last second, right as you're talking to him, change back into a human, he will still act like you're in Roo form, and because you have to change back into a human afterwards anyways, that can save a very teeny amount of time, but it's a frame-perfect trick, so it almost never works. Okay, back to the Roo's Nest. So here, I'm going to pick up the Rotoleaf, and what this is used for is getting through the poisonous corridor. And normally this would be necessary to making it through there alive. However, it is actually possible to avoid picking it up altogether. Unfortunately, the way to do that is very, very precise, and I don't know a consistent way to pull it off, but what you do is, if you have 3 healing items and you use them at very specific points in the poisonous corridor, then you can just barely make it through with enough HP, but that is pretty inconsistent. I can sometimes do it, but most of the time it just doesn't work. I would love to show it off, but it's way too risky to do. And even though the Rotoleaf is technically optional, it does end up being faster to pick it up, because if you try to go through without it, not only do you need to pick up 3 healing items, which cost 3 seconds minimum, there is also a text box that you need to clear if you decide to enter the corridor without the leaf equipped. So it's very slightly slower to not pick up the Rotoleaf, which I guess is probably for the best because of how difficult the trick is to pull off, but yeah. So here we're going to rescue Tarf, or rather his demon inmate, which is actually a human transformed into a demon. He's going to rescue him. Breaks down the walls doggy style. But the demon is going to wander off. I guess he's ashamed or something, so guess what that means. If you guessed escort mission, you guessed correctly. And unlike the escort mission, East 1, I find this one to be a little bit more annoying. And the reason for that is the level layout is kind of weird, so Tarf, he likes to get hung up on the rocks. Not only that, enemies can get behind Tarf somewhat easily, and if they manage to do that, it's probably game over. Oh, that was weird. Okay, that was weird too. Normally Tarf is the one that dies here, not me, but what can you do? So this can be somewhat of a trouble point, mostly because of Tarf dying, and I have also had issues with Tarf following me along to the next screen. Like, there have been times when he's been right next to the screen transition with me, but he just won't follow along for some reason. It's pretty annoying. Fortunately, he did there. Okay. That's the last enemy we need to kill. We just need to get him back to the village now. So, while the escort mission can be tough, it is thankfully rather short. But that is definitely one of the choke points of this run. Returning Tarf to his dad here is going to let us explore the rest of this area, and it's also going to give us 900 EXP, which is really nice, because for the boss here we need to be level 26, and that requires a total of 7,500 EXP. So we're almost there, but we are going to have to kill a few things along the way. And just in case the enemies decide to troll, I'm going to save my game real quick. Skip that enemy. And there we go, level 26. So, the boss of this area. Giant disembodied head. Pretty gross looking. This boss is the main reason I wanted the Hawk Idol, because as he spits out this worm or tongue, or I don't know what the heck it is, it's nasty. Oh, that's what's supposed to happen there. As he spits that thing out, normally you can't do damage to him then, but with the Hawk Idol, you can damage him at the corners of his mouth by being positioned really precisely. But without the Hawk Idol, it's pretty hard to do. So normally, as he sucks the thing back in, that's when you're supposed to deal damage, but having the Hawk Idol lets you get into some damage before that point, which is really nice. So as he spits the worm out, you want to try to lead it around the room such that the head is in one corner and the worm is in the opposite corner when he begins to suck it back in, because that will give you even more time to do damage to him. And on easy difficulty at least, your fireballs, even if they don't damage him, they will push him back slightly, so that's pretty handy. Once he gets down to half HP, he spits out this fire elemental, and that thing is a nuisance because being a fire elemental, it will absorb your fireballs, and because we have the Hawk Idol equipped, more than likely our fireballs are going to redirect to it rather than to the boss, so as soon as possible you want to get rid of it. Okay, he's almost dead, not quite. Okay, let's Galaldi down. Okay, so at the beginning of this run, I mentioned a glitch where you can get all items prematurely. We're coming up on that shortly, so it's going to happen pretty fast, so I'm going to attempt to explain it right now. So, as soon as the guard here in this village lets us into Solomon Shrine, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save my game, I'm going to return to the title screen, and then I'm going to activate time attack mode. Once I'm in time attack mode, what I'm going to do is I'm going to die as quickly as possible. Sounds weird, but the reason for that is I want to be able to load my game with the timer running, and normally you can't do that during time attack, obviously, but when you die in time attack mode, the game attempts to send you back to the title screen, and during that period, you have a second or so, and if you move your mouse to the bottom of the screen, the load button becomes selectable because you're dead, and if you select it then, as the game's returning you to the title screen, the game will load the file, but it will load it with the title menu showing. So what's going to happen then is I'm going to select time attack mode again, and what that's going to do is it's going to activate time attack mode in story mode. So the reason I want to do this is because in time attack mode, for some reason, the developers give you all items, just that normally you cannot access the item screens and change around what you have equipped. But okay, not quit. Let's do the glitch. Select time attack. Die as quickly as possible. Okay, I messed it up there. You only have like a second or two to select it. Okay. Select time attack again. We'll warp back to Velgunder's room, and now you see we have one of every item. So naturally that's going to break the shrine wide open, but the reason we can't do it before entering the shrine is because the gate guard won't let us in, so he thinks he's already done so, basically. So even though I have all items now, I could head straight to Dulles, but the pathway to Dulles is blocked by some of the canal water, so we need to drain that first. Unfortunately, while the glitch does give us all items, it doesn't give us the password, and we need the password to reach the western side of the shrine in order to drain the canal. So something you may be noticing here is that for some reason there isn't any dialogue showing. I don't know why, but that's a weird property of this glitch. But hey, saves time, why not? So we have the password. Let's head to the western side of the shrine. And this is probably the only dialogue that does show up. Okay, so something else weird about this glitch is that when the timer's running, you can skip over certain cutscene triggers, such as the trigger for Dulles to turn you into a demon, so we don't have to worry about that. Something else that unfortunately is affected is the prompt to pull the lever to drain the canal, so we have to disable time attack briefly and in order to pull that. Alright, the canal's drained, and with that, we could head to Dulles right now. However, if you take a look at the top left corner of my screen, I am severely underleveled. For Dulles, you want to be at least level 40, probably several levels higher than that. Any lower than that, you're just going to do 1 damage apiece, and since he has 510 HP, that's going to be quite a long battle. So I don't feel like grinding to level 40 though, so what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to head to Zava. Now Zava, she requires you to be level 45 before you can do any extra damage. So if I wasn't going to grind for Dulles to level 40, I'm certainly not going to grind to level 45 for Zava, so just how do you think I'm going to defeat her here? Remember, we have all items, and that does include all magic. So what we are going to do is use the shield magic. Kill her instantly. Okay, so the reason I did this is because I want to level up off of her. Messed it up again. I need to do this glitch again here. Okay, so another property of this glitch, and I know this is very convoluted, just bear with me, is that when you step into a boss's room with the timer running, it puts you at the level that you would be for that boss in time attack mode. So for Drugar the spider here, it puts you to level 39, and for Zava it puts you to level 47. So level 47 is what I want to be at. That's why I killed Zava. Okay, kind of messed up Drugar there. So the reason I killed Zava is because it breaks the boss loop. Normally, after killing the spider there, it would send me off to Zava's room, but because I've already killed her in story mode, we are still taken to her room, which does put me to the level I would be at for time attacking her. And that's level 47, and that will be enough to defeat Dallas. So, unfortunately, with this glitch, to level up, you can actually D-level. So, okay, I messed that up. So since I don't actually have the right amount of EXP to be at the level it says I am, it is possible to D-level. So that's why I had to deactivate time attack before the spider. So now we can head off to Dallas. Now the fight won't take ages to beat. Should equip the Claria sword first. So Dallas is pretty simple, mostly because we have all equipment, and that includes the Claria shield, which you're normally not supposed to get until just before the final boss. You may be wondering why I'm not using shield magic here, and while that can protect me from his attacks, shield magic, what happens is if an enemy bumps into you, if it does collision damage, then an enemy will basically kill itself. That's why Zava died the way she did. But Dallas here, he only does damage through his projectiles. He doesn't actually do any collision damage, so unfortunately he won't kill himself off of it. But that's okay, he's a pretty quick fight at this level. Ideally, you can hit him as much as 3 times in appearance, but sometimes you only get 2. And if you're really lucky, you can actually hit him 4 times, but that's requires a bit of RNG. So he's almost dead. The reason I'm waiting for those projectiles to finish firing is because they can push you back, and if they push you back, then you're probably not going to get 3 hits in appearance. But anyways, Dallas is down. Let's head to the final boss, Darm. So, while level 47 is enough to defeat Dallas in a timely manner, unfortunately it's not going to be enough to defeat Darm. So, what that's going to mean is I'm going to have to face Darm underleveled, because the glitch level I got, it's essentially a fake level, and what I mean by that is I don't actually have the EXP to be at that level. So if you look at the bottom of the screen, it says I need 31,000 experience to hit the next level. So we obviously don't have time to do that. Normally, you will never need more than 2,500 experience to get to the next level, but because I did the glitch to get this level, yeah, it's going to take way too long. So, this little melody that's playing here, for some reason, when you play this version, normally the melody gets cut off, but for whatever reason, sequence break in the game makes the melody play correctly. I have absolutely no idea why that's the case, but who knew that glitching the game could make it work properly? So, as I said earlier, I'm going to be doing Dharm underleveled, and since I'm underleveled, that means I'm going to be doing 1 damage per hit, and he has 510 HP, so this battle will take several minutes. However, I shouldn't be in too much danger of dying because thanks to the all items glitch, I do have 1 at everything, and one of the perks of playing on easy difficulty is that you can change your items and equipment around even in the middle of a boss battle, because on normal and above, whatever you enter a boss fight with, you're just stuck with those items. So trying to do this fight underleveled on normal, while it might be possible, it would be 10 times more difficult to actually win. But shield magic is going to play a big factor here. So I will be making the most of that. Just in case things go south, I'm going to save my game. I don't think they will, but they have before, so. Okay, so Dharm is fairly easy, but you still want to play it safe, even with shield magic, because what happens when shield magic is equipped, it will protect you from attacks, but if anything hits you, then your MP will go down even quicker, and shield magic already drains your MP pretty fast, so the longer you can keep shield magic up, the better. So those bombs in particular, I want to try to avoid. Those are the primary threats in this first phase here. He has 2 phases, and the first phase is, I guess, the longer of the 2, but it's also the easier of the 2 as well. Going to equip Crewberry. This restores 40 MP, so let me keep shield magic on a bit longer. So when the Goddess Ring activates, that sets those red rings around him. He will oftentimes attempt to move out of bounds where you can't reach him, so he can be a bit of a troll, but fortunately this first phase, he has such a big hitbox, you can almost always hit him. But you still want to be careful just not to push him out of bounds by accident, otherwise just wasting time. So he enters a second phase at around 200 HP, about the point where my health bar is at the bottom. I'm going to try to hold off on using this Rotor Fruit here. Actually, I'm going to switch to this Set of Flower, because my health will probably get kind of low in just a bit here. So he's almost to his second phase. I'm trying to hold off on using the healing item so I can have shield magic for the second phase, which is the harder of the two. I think I'd best use it right now, though. I don't want to play it too risky. Okay, he's in a second form now, and this is the harder of the two forms, primarily because those yellow lasers, those aren't too bad usually, but there are quite a few of them on screen, and they can do continuous knockback to you if you're not careful. But the real danger is that big blue laser that he fires. The big blue laser, it is pretty easy to avoid. However, if he does manage to catch you with it, it eats through your shield magic like butter, and obviously you want shield magic for as long as possible. Fortunately, he cannot change direction when he fires the blue laser, but you can still get hit by it if you're unlucky. The other thing to mention about this phase is that he is more of a jerk, because when the Goddess Ring activates, he's more likely to move to the center when it activates and just not allow you to hit him. Fortunately, he seems to be playing nice this time around, so far at least. Okay, I'm going to use the Rotafruit. Oh, not that. This fight isn't going the greatest so far, but I'm not in any danger yet. By the way, time's coming up when I do the last hit to the boss here. Be a couple minutes yet, probably. So, I know this looks kind of scary, but I do still have the elixir equipped, so even if my MP and HP run out, I'm still good. Okay, there goes my MP. Time's coming up here pretty shortly, slow. When I do the last hit to this boss, I'll let you know. So even though he's almost dead and I do have the elixir to fall back on, I still want to play this somewhat safe because, yeah, he has maybe 45 HP left, and that's more than it sounds like when you're doing 1 damage per hit. Okay, there goes the elixir. That's fine. And time. So yeah, that's II Chronicles Plus glitched any percent. The reason I ran Chronicles Plus in English rather than playing the Japanese version of this game like the Baronade did for East 1 is because to perform the glitch I need to have mouse support, and Japanese PC Chronicles does not have mouse support, so that's why I needed to play this particular version. There is another version of the game where you can do the glitch, and unfortunately I'm not able to stream that version for whatever reason. That being the Japanese PC 2001 release called Complete. And in that version, you can actually beat the game in under 10 minutes just by playing through time attack mode. And the way that glitch works is there's a glitch that will take you, it's supposed to send you back to the title screen, but there are certain times when the game will be like, nah, I don't think so, you're stuck here. And one of those points just so happens to be right as you're fighting the final boss. So you can play time attack mode, do that glitch, and effectively that puts you into story mode. And from there you just kill the final boss and then the ending sequence activates. But as I said, unfortunately I am not able to stream that particular version of the game.
Alright.
Alright, should I just go ahead and exit here?
So, sorry, there we go. Okay. Oh. Sorry about that, everybody. We're on to our next run. Far Cry 80% by my car. We're gonna put some music on for you guys, and we'll have that right out.